you may have heard this phrase before. Diets don't work. And how many of you have been on a diet before and you've tried to gain some kind of advantage, either lose weight or gain weight or try some? Diets don't work. And I have 3 phrases that you'll find interesting on the board here. Counting calories is useless. Measuring grams is fruitless. These are things you've all done, right? And weighing portions is senseless. And there's a reason why it doesn't work. The reason it doesn't work is because you won't do it forever. No one is going to walk around with their little measuring cup and count and weigh and measure every single thing that's going in their mouth. It is not practical. And the Bible has something to say about the wisdom of today's age, the world we live in, because when we look at the ways mankind approaches making gains or coming up with a change, how they can accomplish some change, like even if it's something as simple as losing weight, they come up with some kind of formula. And God says in 1 Corinthians chapter 3, it says, "Let no one deceive himself. If anyone among you seems to be wise in this age, let him become a fool, that he may become wise. For the wisdom of this world is foolishness to God." And that's very important. This is our Creator saying, the things that you've come up with are not good. And this is what the best of the industry has come up with. Count calories, measure and weigh the portions that you're taking into consideration. But the only thing that really works is a lifestyle. So the other thing to remember, and this is a very, very important concept before we go on to the next chart, is that there are no long-term benefits to anything in life that you do short-term. I want to say that again. There are no long-term benefits to anything you do short-term. Now, if you came to me, we have a private practice. If you came to me and you said, "Doc, I'd like some advice on exercise." And I said, "Well, I know a lot about exercise. I've studied exercise for years. I'm going to give you a good exercise program." And you got out your little pencil like you're doing now, and you say, I'm going to take some notes. And I said, "This is what you do. You get on this particular exercise program and you stick with it and you do it for 3 months and you get yourself in really good shape." And you're like, yeah. And then you stop and you don't ever do it again. And that should last you for the rest of your life. You're 30 years old now. 3 months of exercise should take you at least till you're 70. Now, you're all laughing. It'd be nice. You're laughing. It sounds ridiculous, but how many people actually live by the principle that they think they could do something for a short period of time and get long-term benefits? There are no long-term benefits. If I gave you a good diet and I said, "Stick to this diet. This is a healthy diet." This is the problem with dietary programs. So you just get on this program. It's a 12-week program. There's no such thing as a 12-week program. There's now and for the rest of your life. There's no 12-week program unless you only have 12 weeks to live. Then it happens to be a 12-week program.